It's time for the Coach Chad Leapart Show. Joining Coach Leapart, as always, is your host, Will M. Jackson, and a special guest from the coaching staff. The Coach Leapart Show is brought to you every week during the football season by the Gilbert Football Network. If you are interested in sponsoring the Coach Leapart Show, please email us at gilbertfootballradio@gmail.com to get a copy of our sponsorship levels. 75% of all advertising dollars will go back to the Gilbert football programs. And now, here is Coach Leapart and Will.
Good evening, Gilbert fans. This is Will Jackson here with Gilbert High School varsity football coach Chad Leapart. We will look back at last week's big victory over region rival Swansea Tigers and look ahead to this week's game against the Orangeburg-Wilkinson Bruins. Coach, I'm not going to ask you to comment, but I was looking back and you faced a bunch of different cats and you finally get to face a bear this week. Seems like the only team you hadn't faced just trying to claw you apart was the Thoroughbreds, and you beat them pretty good. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, our third segment, we will look at, instead of doing our coaches spotlight, we will instead look at the other fall teams that are competing in the South Carolina High School League competitions. And with the playoffs cranking up here in the next week or so, we thought this would be a good time to give our coaches a break from the spotlight and look at some of the other teams. Well, Coach, we'll move on to the Swansea game. Your crowd handled them pretty well. It was like 43-0 there for a while at the first half, or 43-6, I think. Ended up cruising to an easy 43-13 victory. And looking at the stats, Coach, this is probably your best balanced game that I've seen. You had 53 plays, 32 rushes, 21 passes, and a little over like 265 rushing and 166 passing. I guess was this one of those games you kind of went into looking to say, well, we might be able to practice a few things in a gun with live bullets, or did y'all see something on tape that made you want to throw the ball more?
Well, we definitely threw the ball more this week, and that was something that we just felt like we needed to do to be a better and more complete football team. We're going to definitely hang our hat on Elias and Jaden running the football, and that's kind of who we are. That's our identity. But at the same time, there has to be some balance in your offense, and any good offense. And there's going to be times when people stack the box, and you got to be able to make them pay for it throwing the football. And we did feel like a little bit of both. We wanted to throw the ball more this week, and we also felt like there were some things that Swansea was going to give us that we could do throwing, and wanted to take advantage of that. So that's kind of what we did, and we probably threw for the most yards we have in the game this year. Our guys came out, like you said, really hot. We really played well for the first half. It was up 43-6 at halftime. Really felt like everything clicking on all cylinders. And I guess that's just nitpicking and whatever. But we felt like we came out in the second half a little flat, and it wasn't as sharp, and just kind of grinded the game on out. And obviously it was done at halftime, but not as sharp as we'd have liked to been probably in the second half. Everybody got to play, which is positive, but we just needed to be a little sharper there in that second half. That was our thing that we were a little disappointed with. But still, you're playing region football, and you get another win this time of year against a rival. So you're 2-0 in the region, and really that's all that matters. Good, pretty, bad, ugly, whatever, it don't make a difference as long as you get a win this time of year moving forward. And, and talking about some of our guys, our players of the week was, you talked about us throwing the football. Drake Braddock was our Lake Murray Mosquito Offensive Player of the Week from the quarterback position. Drake threw for, I want to say, 166 yards and had a touchdown, had a over 60% completion percentage. Spread it around a little bit. The Chance Jennings and Matt Edwards had good nights for us catching the ball at the receiver spots. And then on defense, once again, repeating Lake Murray Mosquito Defensive Player of the Week is Kelvin Blackwell. Kelvin had 5 tackles, a couple tackles for loss from his defensive tackle position. But the big play of the night was he just snatched the ball from the running back. Running back ran right up the middle, and next thing we know, we saw Kelvin coming out the other side of the pile like a shot out of a cannon, and about trampled the quarterback around the goal line and high-stepped it into the end zone. And it was pretty dang sporty play for a big defensive tackle type. And so it was that was a big play for us too. Really, putting the game away really in the second quarter by Kelvin. Showed a lot of athleticism there for a big guy, and we happy for him or whatever, being able to make a play like that. But it was a solid game again by most of our folks, blocking up front with our guys, and Jaden and Elias had another solid game on offense. Defensively, Brendan Boatwright again all over the place making tackles. Caleb Streesey had a good night for us, and among others.
Well, Coach, you said that your two main backs got about 200 yards between the two of them, but I noticed your third back, I guess one that'll take over next year, Jalen Jay, had 70 yards rushing. That was always, to get him into that competition against the region had to be good moving forward.
Yeah, good experience for him. I think he had 13 carries for 70 yards. Jalen's just a sophomore. He's played some JV this year. He's played with us some this year. We do that with a lot of sophomores. They kind of bounce back and forth sometimes from week to week. But he got a lot of good reps there in the second half and averaged over 5 yards a carry. So we certainly excited about him for the future. He's a big back himself, kind of like not quite as big as Jaden, but in that mold.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned you did throw the ball more, but I've noticed that and Chance called a few passes, but he only ran the ball twice. Did he get hurt, or were y'all just trying to protect him for the stretch run? Don't want to throw him out there unnecessarily and get him hurt with closing in on the end of the season.
He's playing wide receiver, so it's just not many options to run the ball. I mean, we run him a couple jet sweeps is really what we did, and then just only so many plays you have in the first half to spread it around to people. He caught 5. He had caught 5 passes, so he got 7 touches. I mean, you look at our touch sheet, Jaden Allen Hendricks had 12, Elias had 8, Chance had 7. So
he's right up there.
Yeah,
just a different way of touching the ball.
That's right.
Well, Coach, one more comment before we move away from this game and look at next week's game. Probably made both you and Coach Cagle happy. No turnovers on your side of the ball, and got 2 on his side of the ball. And you were talking about Brendan was all over the place, but I noticed that Braxton Goins, who's your number 2 tackler on the team, and Jordan Smith were the leading tacklers, and you mentioned Caleb as well, had 11. So I guess that helped or made you and Coach Cagle feel good that you got other people stepping up when Brendan might not play as much, or you just kind of don't want to get them hurt this time of the year.
Yeah, we got to have a bunch of guys flying around to the football. That's for sure. So those guys were the other night. That's the thing on defense from our linebackers, and then also our safeties like Jordan Smith. I mean, we move him around everywhere. He may be in coverage, but he's such a good tackler. He's such a good football player. We try to get him in good positions to make plays for us on that side of the ball. Everybody hears about that on offense. You want to get guys in good position to make plays, but Coach Cagle does a great job with our defense and getting somebody like Jordan, who you can move him around from anywhere to corner to safety to linebacker and kind of have him all over the place. Coach Cagle does a great job of putting him in good places to make plays, because we know Jordan is one of our best tacklers, and he's athletic and fast, and he's got 3 interceptions on the year as well. He's kind of like how Clemson did with Isaiah Simmons a few years ago. I mean, we hadn't put Jordan on the defensive line yet, but we certainly can move him around anywhere else in that back half, and he's been very effective for us.
Well, that's good.
Heady football player.
Well, Coach, I guess we will end up this session. Like I said, you're got two wins in region, got 3 left, and they're all important, as we said before. And we'll be back after these messages to talk about the Orangeburg Wilkinson Bruins, ladies and gentlemen. Well, back here, ladies and gentlemen, for our second segment, Coach Leapart talk about the Orangeburg Wilkinson Bruins, who will travel up to Gilbert American. And Coach, Bruins coming off a win over Dreer, the second win of the season. However, they lost to a couple of the 2A teams, and Took it on the chin a couple weeks ago from BC pretty good, but I think I both agree that it doesn't really matter what OW's record is. They have a plethora of athletes, and your guys have to be prepared and be in the right position, as we were talking about earlier, or you can get beat.
Absolutely, they're a scary bunch. They're one of the biggest, fastest teams we've seen all year. They have a right tackle that's made the Shrine Bowl team. Shrine Bowl team was just announced Sunday, so they have a Shrine Bowl caliber offensive lineman, and he's big. He's about 6'4", 300 pounds, and can move. And they got some other ones that look similar to him too. So they're big in the lines. They're fast at the skill positions. But they have had a stretch this year where they've lost some tough games. They lost to people. Silver Bluff beat them 14-7. Barnwell beat them like 33-20. White lost to White Knoll earlier in the year, 21-12. They've kind of been around in some of these games. BC got them pretty good, but the BC game that Brooklyn Casey didn't pull away from them until the fourth quarter. It was like 21-7 and going into the fourth quarter, and then BC got away. And then, and the big thing for them is they got a win last week against Dreer. So, 28-26, that puts them 1-1 in the region. So they still got everything to play for. So, there's no reason for them to be thinking they're 2-5 overall, but there's no reason for them to be down about it, because what matters is they're 1-1 in region play. And they go on a run, they're in good shape. So I know we'll get their best game. They should be excited to play. And we got to be ready to play, because they do have a lot of talent. And, it'll be important for us to play a good, clean football game.
Coach, you go into Orangeburg Wilkinson not as blind as you may be. New coach Chris Carter down there used to be at Edisto in his first year at OW, so at least you have some idea when you were in the region with Edisto, you kind of know what he's going to look for or what he's going to throw at you. And
Yep.
What would they line up on offense and defense and come at you at?
On offense, first of all, I guess Coach Carter, he's been at Edisto for 3 or 4 years down there when we were in the region together, and now so he's replacing Coach Crosby at OW, and so we are familiar with him. He's familiar with us. Offensively, they kind of run a bunch of different things. They will be an empty. With everybody all spread out, throwing it all over the field on some series, and then they'll all pack it in a like a big heavy set and kind of come just downhill at you with their size. They're so big. Each one of those things kind of presents its own different set of problems, and they do present problems there. And so that they kind of run a gambit of different things like that on offense. Got a really good wide receiver that also plays safety. Jordan Perry, he's like 6'3", 205, runs really well, can go up and get it. Definitely going to have to watch out for him. But quarterbacks also run around really well too. Defensively, they're mainly base out of a 3-4 defense. And, but they'll mix that up a little bit too. And it seemed like in the last couple of weeks they've decided to blitz more. So that's something that we're going to have to contend with. As well, but they got a bunch of good players. Like I said, number 3 Jordan Perry. They got the right tackle Jaquan Sprinkle is a Shrine Bowl player, just named to the Shrine Bowl team. Big kid, 6'4", 300. He'll play some on defense as well as his main position on offense. So they definitely have some ball players.
So you'd be kind of like 2 weeks ago when you faced that monstrosity of a line from LR, both offense
they're
and
very
defense.
Yes, they're very similar makeup as LR as far as size. Couple of the biggest offensive lines we've seen all year. They kind of had to contend with and deal with up there, and they do have some guys that could with some speed on in the backfields on both sides of the ball that you also have to deal with.
Well, this is a good test for. We don't want to look too far ahead, Coach, and say, get to the playoffs. But this game against LR, both of those will really put test to you and get you ready for the playoffs in a couple of weeks, along with the non-region games you had, that tough schedule there. So, Well, we'll be back after this message, ladies and gentlemen, and talk about the other Gilbert teams that's competing this fall, and look forward to hearing all the updates from Coach Lee Part on those. Ladies and gentlemen, back here with Coach Lee Park. Coach, we're going to give the Barney Fire Spotlight a little break. I need to change the light. It was getting about to burn out, so we'll get some of the coaches back under that next week. But we talked about it a little bit last week, and the playoffs for others, for you is probably 3 or 4 weeks away, but some other sports, their season's drawn to an end, and some of them have even ended, as you said. So we didn't want to leave these fine athletes out, and thought we would ask you about the sports that's going on now. I mean, and I say sports because when I was here, when I first started at Gilbert, there was football and girls tennis were the only two things you did in the fall.
Right.
And before I left, we had volleyball added and cross country, and I don't think cross country was boys and girls, so we added a few more, but it wasn't many. But now you say you got 8 different sports or 8 different teams taking part in the fall sports now?
Just in the fall, and you're absolutely right. It has grown a lot over the years. In talking about, I remember back when I was in high school here, those sports you just named, that's what we had in the fall too. It really wasn't all this other stuff now, but we've grown, and our athletic department has grown, and I've been fortunate to have a lot of great coaches of these sports and a lot of kids that's worked really hard at them and do very well over the past really several years now. And we do have one start off with swim, and I'm going to start off with them because their season's already finished. Actually, they finished this past weekend with the states, and our boys and girls swim led by Coach Whitaker Ann Johnson, who swam at Carolina, and she's done a great job with that program. They finished second in the region. Both the boys and the girls did. We ended up having 8 state qualifiers go to the state swim meet, and that's only a second-year program. We started that program last year, and they really have just kind of jumped in, so to speak, on the deep end, and just and hit the ground running or swimming, and done really well. But their season's wrapped up. Obviously, they swim outside, so it's just and in fact, their region when they had the region swim meet was 9th. We played Lower Richland, and it was pretty cold out there. We were all in the jackets and everything, and so those kids had to show some toughness and jump in that cold water on that the other week at the region swim meet. But,
where do they swim for home matches?
Okay,
Coach?
So our team swims at Golden Hills. I'm sorry, I couldn't pull it right off the top of my head, but Golden Hills over in Lexington Country Club is where our home meets are. Well, we're not able to host a home meet there. They don't have the blocks, whatnot, but they are able to practice there, and then we usually travel around to meets, whether it be at Lexington County Country Club or Quail Hollow, and then a couple other places, various down in Aiken and Columbia.
Okay.
So that's kind of how our swim team did this year, and like I said, really proud of those boys and girls on both teams doing a fine job. And then when we run through this list here, we got girls. I'm going to jump into girls golf. Our girls golf, has been really a powerhouse the last few years. Winning a state championship a couple years ago. Coach Drew Nix does a great job with them. Just yesterday I was out watching, they had the region golf tournament. We ended up finishing second in that, but shout out to Edie Rain Hardy for being the low scorer and region player of the year. She's been in our program since 7th grade. She's a senior now, and she's been a part of all the state championship runs and the lower state championship and the things from the region championships. She's been a big part of all that, and an important part of all that. And so just give her a shout out on not just a great day yesterday, but a great career here as a Gilbert golfer. And she will go on, of course, and compete in state as well.
Yeah.
We also, our girls tennis team's rolling along right now, about to wrap up their season. They will be a playoff team. Coach Patty Spires coaching them. They've won multiple region championships over the last few years. That's a program, like you said, that's been around here for a long, long time.
Yes, it has.
And they've won. We got our region championship banners in the gym, and they might have as many region championships as anybody if you start tallying them up over the years. And so those girls, like I said, they'll be starting their playoffs here soon. We also have our cross country, like you said, it's been around for a while. Boys and girls cross country having a good season. They're not quite yet for their region championship yet. That'll be coming up here soon. So they've really had a good season. Looking forward to it, and I believe they got a shot to be region champions, both the boys and the girls, and hopefully they'll make a run at state and all that. But Coach Danny Tribble does our boys. Bailey Williams coaches our girls, and just both teams have done really well this year. And got to talk about volleyball with Coach Jackie Shealy. That's a sport that Gilbert we've kind of always been known for, and there's a lot of tradition in it with our volleyball team. And right now, matter of fact, we're in a battle for the region championship this week. We will play Orangeburg Wilkinson for the region championship at Brooklyn Casey High School, a little neutral site. We split with them during the regular season, so we've done this now this will be the third year in a row where our girls are there have split with OW and had to play them at a neutral site for the championship. So we've won the last two, so hopefully we go make it another third time here too Thursday.
Well, I saw earlier in the year, talking about tradition, they had a alumni night, and some people may not know, but Coach Shealy's just the third Gilbert coach. And it was Coach Dickert started the program when I was here back in the late 80s, and then Jan Flynn took over, and I think Coach Shealy took over after Jan left, and that's three good ones right there.
Yes, it is.
Coach Flynn, I always knew her as Jan. She was my Little League coach. We called her Coach Jan back then. So she got, a couple of state championships while she was here. One, I know. Went to the state championship several other times. And
that's right.
Hope Jackie will bust on through like Coach Flynn did as well.
Yeah, they've been knocking on the door the last few years for sure. I think it was just a couple years ago we played in the state championship and lost to Powdersville. Last year, got knocked out, I think, around the third round by Oceanside. But this Coach Shealy always puts a great team on the court and does a great job with our girls. And our girls here in our community, volleyball is big. It's important. They really work at it all year round.
Yeah.
And this always. Again, traditionally, that's one of the teams. Especially if you're talking female athletics, that's Gilbert volleyball. Everybody knows about it.
You're right. I saw Coach Shealy at church Sunday, and she was fired up about that OW game.
Yeah.
I think she'll have them ready this week to make sure that they come out on top.
No doubt. That game has turned into quite the rivalry in volleyball. I mean, it's unbelievable, actually. Our home match this year, we had our band in the gym for it, and we got the students all in there packing the house for the game. It's such a big volleyball game. And, of course, they did the same when we went down there. They had their band in there, and the gym was packed. And
they were paid the favor. Huh?
Oh, yeah. But they're the ones that kind of started all that. So, but it's been fun. It's they really – OW really takes pride in their volleyball as well. And so it's turned into a good little rivalry. And hopefully Thursday there, the girls will be able to bring the championship home again.
Yeah, hopefully so.
And then, lastly here is our competitive cheer team. And I left it for last because they're actually, we got some fall sports that are just that's already finished, like swim. And competitive cheer actually starts they actually have their first match or competition this Saturday at Hartsville. So it's kind of their competitive season is just now getting started, and it'll be a flurry of competitions here over about the next 6 weeks with them leading up to the state championship. And really proud of this group. Coach Tiffany Vining has done a great job with them. Last year they were the state runner-up, just a point or so off from being the state champion, and we returned a lot of girls from that team. So excited to see what they're going to do this year, see what the team's going to be like. But that's something that it's a relatively new program too. We've always had cheerleaders, but this aspect of it is definitely something new that we really brought back here with Coach Vining in 2016, and she's had to build the program. We started off, we might have had a couple girls that could actually tumble, which is a big part of what that is, and now almost all our girls that are on the cheer team can do not just tumbling, but advanced tumbling and stuff, and they really are something to see, the athleticism that they have and all the things that they can do. So excited to see what their season is going to be like this year for sure.
Well, Coach, I know Gray graduated last year, but you still got one hanging around, and it's in competitive cheer. So I think that's a special fall sport besides football to you.
Oh yeah,
as well. As
Yeah.
Ella's goes out there and keeps you busy on Saturdays after football games on Friday night, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, so my boys have graduated now, and so no more coaching them on Friday nights. But got Ella Jane as cheering, and so she's there on the sidelines on Friday night, and now Saturdays is pretty much when they do their thing on these competitions. They have a few during the weeknights, but it's always fun to watch your kids compete, and so whether it's football or a competitive cheer, it's good stuff.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Coach, there's some impressive numbers again this year. I know we talked last week that the athletic program as a whole finished top 10 in 3A, and I think you're on that way again. So know you are the right man for leading this program back, not just football program, but we said all the rest of them. And know you've got Gilbert in your heart, and working on getting all these programs up in the higher levels of the state.
Absolutely. Like I think I said last week anyway, I just want to see Gilbert kids do well, and that's so we want to try from an athletic department standpoint is make sure that our kids have the best of everything that we can possibly get them to be successful and having the best people to work with them, and and then really they and their parents and this community does the rest as far as making this happen. But very proud of not just these fall sports, but really all of our different sports here at GHS. They've done really well the last several years, and it's evidenced by the overall rankings in the athletic departments that come out at the end of each year. So hopefully we'll keep that continue that success.
I'm sure you will, Coach. I know you will. Well, Coach, any closing comments on the Bruins before we sign off tonight?
It's a tough game, it's region football. This time of the year the games just get tougher and tougher as they wind down. Everybody's fighting a little harder, wanting to get to play that one more game. Every game means a lot. So I expect nothing less than another tough game this Friday, and and we got to do whatever we got to do to get to 3-0. And this is most, like we say every week, it's the most important game of the year is this one right here. So
that's correct.
Got to get it and move forward.
Well, Coach, hopefully all the fans will turn out and support you and cheer you on to another big region victory here in Gilbert, America. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.